Sam Teicher is the co-founder and chief reef officer at Coral Vita, and he joins us now live to provide more context into this issue. Sam, you're speaking to us from the Bahamas. Tell us what's happening to the coral reefs where you are.
Over 80% of coral reefs are actually estimated to be dead in the Caribbean. So as heartbreaking as it is to hear about 14% decline globally over the past decade, it's worse in some places. In places nearby, like the Florida Keys, over 90 or 95% of reefs are dead. And this is a nation, like so many others, where coral reefs are not just a draw for tourism, but they provide food security. Having been here during Hurricane Dorian, we saw how coral reefs and mangrove forests reduce wave energy to literally save people's lives. So this is not just an ecological tragedy, but a socioeconomic catastrophe, and one we are experiencing right now.
And why exactly is it happening?
It's a combination of factors. The overarching risk, not only moving forward, but currently happening right now, as mentioned before, is climate change. Corals, just like human beings, have a certain temperature range, among other things, that they can survive and thrive in. And we are seeing warming temperatures completely just creating conditions that don't allow corals to survive. And that is happening during these massive bleaching events, big spikes in ocean temperatures, but also gradually ocean temperatures on average are just warming. When you combine that with overfishing, pollution, habitat destruction, it's this perfect storm of conditions that is killing one of the most incredible and important ecosystems on our planet.
And what happens when bleaching takes place? And can you explain what that is exactly?
Yeah, a good analogy is almost thinking about like white blood cells in our own bodies, taking out, parts of ourselves that we actually need when we're sick. Corals have this brilliant color often, and the color is caused by this symbiotic algae that lives within the corals themselves. Corals are animals that basically have plants, this algae living inside of them, and they, through photosynthesis, give excess food to the coral, which helps it survive and grow over time. And if temperatures get too hot, the coral sometimes thinks that the algae basically is causing it to feel sick, and it'll expel this algae. And if the temperatures don't come back down in sufficient time and the algae doesn't return to the coral, it basically starves to death. And it's called bleaching because the coral algae is expelled, all that brilliant color leaves, and that exposes the white limestone skeleton of the coral, which again, eventually can basically perish right in front of our eyes.
And of course, we have this huge climate conference, COP26, taking place in Glasgow in a few weeks' time. What would you like to see decided there by policymakers that would make a difference to the coral reef?
Elimination of fossil fuel subsidies, many of which nations have committed to. We shouldn't be subsidizing massive industries that not only don't need subsidies, but are in fact threatening the survival of humanity, biodiversity, and prosperity. Together with bold climate action to reduce greenhouse gas emissions by 2030, let alone by 2050. We really have, we're facing over 90% of corals, if not more, dead by 2050 if things don't change. And so this requires dramatic action. We also need more investment, not only in climate mitigation, but my job, I'm a coral farmer. We need to be investing in a whole restoration economy. We know by growing and planting corals, mangrove, seagrass, that we can actually preserve these ecosystems, ensure that the benefits that 1 billion people around the world rely on can continue into the future, and do that alongside mitigation. So I actually will be going to COP in November next month, so hopefully I'll have the opportunity to advocate for this urgently needed action to leaders in government, industry, and the media who have the power to make a difference. I really, at this point, it's a matter of willpower, because we know there's plenty of money to invest in these measures, and the cost of inaction is far greater than any funds we can spend right now in government budgets to eliminate the threat of climate change.
Sam, we wish you the best of luck there at Glasgow next month. All the best with your work and your campaigning.